Thank you for joining me. I'm Cynthia, spiritualist who works at the in-depth level of the soul. For those of you who are new here, I help others to connect with every aspect of their spiritual journey and heal so they can come out of the anger, resentment, and bitterness and live a fully functional whole life on every level. I'm the author of 5 books, and the one I am working from today is Twinflame's Healing the Shattered Heart When Union Isn't Possible, and we will be discussing the 5th stage of the twin flame journey when it comes to grief. Now, if you haven't already done so, and you find the work I do helpful, please like, subscribe, and share, as I am someone who is not supported in any way by the media or by monetization. So everything I do at my own expense. And it actually costs me money in order to work with you and teach you on a large scale. So your support is greatly appreciated with algorithms, because that means a lot, especially to those of us who simply do not have the support here on YouTube. Okay, now we're going to move on to the good stuff. The 5th stage of the twin flame journey, which is acceptance, realizing that a physical union is simply not going to happen. Now, this is a tricky one, because if any of these stages of grief are not mastered, you will go back and you will repeat the others. And it will be a continual cycle of pain and resentment and heartbreak on every level. But the 5th stage, where people get snared, is when they really believe they have come to this place of acceptance, when in reality they have not, and they are still holding on to the hope by making excuses for behavior patterns that they have not worked through. And the biggest issue I see is when there is a spiritual connotation put on this, and the twin who was for the physical union, dealing with the avoidant or the abuser, says, well, I know they're going to heal. I know they're going to heal at some point, and I'm holding heart space for them. I love them unconditionally, which is a wonderful thing. And that is the point that all twin flames must come to at some point in order to prepare for true ascension, not the fabricated explanation of it that is in the false aspects of the spiritual communities, but the real meaning of ascension, when you realize that you have to clear the human desires and emotions, not by suppressing them, but by transmuting the energy through forgiveness And through turning those desires and wants and needs into something that is much greater than yourself, and that is when you do the ultimate releasing to the God force that created you, and you come to that place of peace where you know that you are in deep protection and loved, even though your co-atom, your counterpart, is not physically with you. So, how do you get to that point of ultimate release? Well, it is through being honest with yourself about your past manipulations and the current ways in which you are trying to manipulate spiritually to draw them back into you. It is not seeing the whole truth about communication. Because let's face it, an avoidant will not communicate head on. They won't face you physically. They won't talk to you over the phone. It will be voicemails. And that's if you're really lucky. Otherwise, it may be fleeting texts here and there. That is a sign of an avoidant, weakened individual who does not really want to face the truth about anything, and they do not want to interact with you. Yet, mostly women I have found who contact me hold on to that hope because they've gotten a voice mail or a text. And all of this has to go in order to master this fifth step. Okay? So you have faced the harsh truth. This is when you really come to terms with it. You see this false communication for what it is, and you realize that everything is one-sided, and it's on your end. You are not significant in your twin's life. You know it's time for you to focus on yourself. You are aware that you have a higher destiny. Living in the lower emotions drained your life force because you haven't valued yourself. This has led you to a lower standard of living. You want to heal and develop a higher level of consciousness. Okay, and this comes when you realized that you have been hit in the pocketbook. In most cases of twin flame grief, the focus is on the union and the union alone and why they can't have it. And because of this, everything else has failed. We've talked about this in the previous videos. And in your heart, you know that you do have to come out of this to attain your highest level of life. You have to really be playing with a full deck here. You have to function, physically function, mentally and emotionally function on every level. Keep in mind that when you are so hung up on trying to manifest this physical union, that all of the anger and the bitterness that comes with it, all of the frustration, is actually your fear of physical death. Because anytime we are in such desperation to get something that it just consumes us every waking minute of the day, that actually is the fear of physical death. Because only when you come to that place of peace, when you are living, in the present moment, will you gain the full understanding. And that full understanding is complete surrender in order to clear your mind and to move into the higher spiritual levels of being, higher consciousness. So at that point, this is when you fully end the 5 stages of grief and you rise into the next level of your existence. So ending these cycles, when you refuse to release your twin, you are keeping yourself in bondage. This is what you have to remember. And it comes in all sorts of sneaky ways. You have to really come to terms with how you have been handling your grief. You've been expelling a lot of energy, trying to bind them to you. You come to that conclusion. It doesn't serve a higher purpose for you or your twin. You've come to that conclusion. It's a go nowhere downward spiral. All it does is set you back further in your spiritual development. You've finally come to this realization. When you are in that frame of mind, you are not thinking clearly. It's only about your wants, needs, desires. You aren't taking into consideration the will of your twin. You are not giving them the freedom of choice. This is a God-given right that you must not interfere with. So I ask you this question. If you are teetering back and forth on this, how would you feel if someone tried to force you to physically be with them? The thought turns your stomach, doesn't it? If your twin was as low as they possibly could go, maybe involved in white-collar crime, murder, severe drug addiction, maybe even pushing, would you really want them to try to force you to be in their life if you were cleaning out? It's oil and water. It doesn't mix, Because you are divine counterparts in the highest form of creation, your twin feels what you are doing on an energetic level. They may not be consciously aware of it, but they can sense it. This causes them to pull further away from you. At this point, your twin feels their energy being drained. This is where they choose to direct their energy. Whether it is for their highest good or not is of no significance. It is not for you to decide their path in life. And this is a biggie. I come across this every week, someone contacts me who makes every excuse in the book as to why they have to have that union and their twin has to see it their way. That is force, it's willfulness, it's dogmatic. And it has to go in order for you to raise to your highest level of consciousness. Don't worry about when they're going to do it, because it's all in divine time anyway, and even the darkest paths where there is so much destruction and sin, those souls are given a chance to come to God. But it is not for you to interfere with it. When you have a life force that you have been given, that you have to focus on. And this is vital. Because the more you dwell on this, the more obsessive you become. This is when your life takes a downward spiral. You make bad choices and end up living a low-value life. You have been caught in the lower psychic stratum. It is the level of illusion. You believe that you can manifest whatever you want. There is no code of ethics in this whatsoever. It is solely based on the lower ego and internet popularity. This has nothing to do with real ascended master teaching. Truth is only given to those who are dedicated. And this is where I'm going to leave you. Because always remember this. The student does not choose the teacher. The teacher chooses the student. If an ascended master or a highly evolved ethical spiritual teacher who only wanted your highest good appeared in the physical form, would you be ready to take instruction? Would you allow yourself to be guided? Are you ready to lay down that burden of desire that leads to control that is so far off the charts? You can become scattered, even to the point of developing an attention deficit disorder that affects your life to the point you can't live even halfway normal. These are all the things that you have to think about in order to conquer the 5 stages of twin flame grief and completely heal. Because once you do this, that's when you begin the full-blown path to ascension. And you are seeing everything spiritually on a completely different level than what you have seen it before. And that is the highest good, the highest truth. Living a life of peace where everything just falls into place. And when you meet those challenges, you are not intimidated by them. You are not torn up. You are not resentful. You are not bitter. You simply see what you have to cut through to raise to another level of higher consciousness on your earth journey. And this is the difference between the false teachings, the false spirituality, the false positivity, and the dogmatic twin flame belief systems that manipulate and try to control others. This is a sacred journey. Always remember that. And always remember that it leads back to the divine source that created you. And the ultimate goal should be to attain your highest level of consciousness. Because only then can you glean the information and begin to step on the path of your true mission, your true talents, your true abilities, and begin to master them. Because ultimately, that is what God wants for you in the divine image. I wish you so much love and many blessings.